Hey, it's Hunt. You found Hunt on Saints. We're talking black and gold football. Do us a favor. Hit the like button, share your comments below, and hit that subscription button so you can get all of our content. Enjoy. As the New Orleans Saints get ready to play the Tennessee Titans in the Dome in the season opener, Saints are a 3-point choice in the game. We haven't seen the Saints out there in action in a couple of weeks, and honestly, we haven't really seen the Saints in action at all because they did not play the starters hardly any in the preseason. So it's a little bit of a new look team. Certainly at quarterback is where we would start there with a new look, but a lot of the same faces as well. Dennis Allen, I think in a big year for him. I think that's probably an understatement. Last year did not go well. A lot of injuries, a lot of poor decisions, some games that got away from him, and he certainly could have beaten Cincinnati at home. They should have won the game at Tampa. And they just didn't finish in some of the games that they really, really needed to. That's got to change this year, as they're the favorites to win the division. It's important for them to get off to a good start, and that'll have to be against the Tennessee Titans. Dennis Allen met with reporters earlier and spoke about practice and getting ready for the season opener.
It was a good practice day, a lot of energy out there. It's exciting, opening up the regular season. So we got a huge challenge this week against a really good football team. I mean, it's a team that started off the season last year 7-3, and then their quarterback went out and lost the last 7 games. But this is a really good football team that we're playing, and on both sides of the ball and in the kicking game. So it'll be a huge test for us opening up the season in the Dome.
I think it's more about the Saints this week, honestly, and it's about what I'm talking about. It's about Dennis Allen. It's about his comfort with his team. Last year was his first time as the head coach in New Orleans, and I think there was a real effort made to kind of keep the band together. Okay, Sean Payton moves on. Okay, we're gonna leave Dennis Allen here, and we're gonna have him, be the head coach and really help with the defense. It's been very good. We're gonna leave Pete Carmichael right there. He'll handle the play calling. Had Jameis Winston. He was here. We're gonna leave him there as well. It was very much keep the band together. Now we know there have been some changes, and certainly at quarterback, and they've made some personnel changes. And I think there are more of Dennis Allen's guys around than Sean Payton's guys, because half the organization, whether it's the back half of the roster or some of the guys on the coaching staff, have joined Sean Payton in Denver. So Dennis Allen spoke to his comfort level and then his confidence in the team that he's got in year 2 of his era.
I would just say I'm confident in our football team. I think we've had a really good camp. I think we've executed at a high level, really in all 3 phases throughout training camp. And so I feel confident in what this team's able to do.
I hope so. He's going to say that no matter what. He's going to say he's confident in his team. He's going to say he loves the way the guys have prepared. He's going to say good week of work, all that stuff. And nothing really matters until you get out there on Sunday and you actually play. And how well do you play? And how confidently do you coach? I think a lot of times last year when you look back at the Saints, there was some passiveness to what they did. Dennis Allen's just not as strong a personality as Sean Payton. And Sean Payton was probably aggressive to a fault, right? Just ridiculous challenges that everyone can see don't apply. Some aggressive play calls when the nature it didn't necessarily have to be that way. I'm thinking about, reverses on 4th and 2 and whatnot. I mean, Sean Payton was going to be Sean Payton. He was going to be bold and he was going to be brash and he was going to be the alpha. And sometimes you look at Dennis Allen and you don't get those vibes, and that's something that needs to show up this year. He needs to coach confidently. He needs to coach brashly. He needs to coach boldly. He's got the best team in his division. They should win it. He should coach them that way. You don't have to try to back off. I was listening to Jimmy and Charlie today, and this is not apples to apples, but you'll understand that Indiana was really in a fairly competitive game with Ohio State, and they kind of coached to stay in the game. Usually Indiana gets beat by Ohio State 56-13. And this time they only lost by 20, and they held Ohio State to 23 points. It kind of looks better, but it's not how you coach to win games. And certainly the Saints are not going to be applicable to Indiana's talent level versus Ohio State. But you get the point that I'm trying to make. It's like, hey, man, let it loose. Let's go. And the defense played like that late in the year last year. I think they were just a little bit timid because of what they had at quarterback and the injuries on offense and the issues of the offensive line. It just didn't feel aggressive. It needs to feel aggressive this year. Dennis Allen talked about the opener with the Titans. Obviously, not a must-win in the NFL, but how big is this game for the Saints?
A lot of times people talk about must-win games and things of that nature, and so I would never say that this is a must-win game. I think getting off to a good start is important, but yet it's not the end-all, be-all in terms of where you finish the season. But yeah, I think anytime you get a chance to start off fast and hopefully stack some wins together early on in the season, when you're going to face some adversity, you're going to face some injury issues as the season wears on. Banking a few wins is always good.
I'm glad he said it wasn't a must-win, because that may be the most poorly used term in sports. I get so many must-win. Is it a must-win or is it not a must-win? First of all, nobody in the NFL has ever played a must-win in week 1, ever. And certainly this would not apply. Must-win means you have to win, or you're eliminated, or your season's over. This is not a must-win, but it's a big game. And I'll tell you what the most interesting facet of the Saints opener to me is. The Saints built a strong defense over the last handful of years on the fact that they stopped the run. They were as good as anybody in the NFL year over year at stopping the run. We know about the streak of not allowing a 100-yard rusher, and they just were very stout against the run. And last year, they got away from that. Teams gashed them on the ground. Atlanta ran it all over the place on them. You saw the Cardinals run it all over the place on them. And the Saints made the decision in the offseason, okay, we're going to make some changes here. David Onyemata, he's going to walk. Shy Tuttle, okay, going to walk. We're going to revamp this thing. We're going to retool this thing. And they went and got Nathan Shepard, and they went and got Colin Saunders, and they drafted Brian Brzee. And that defensive front's going to look different this year. And I think how well that group plays is going to have a huge bearing on how well the Saints do in terms of wins and losses. I don't think Derek Carr is going to elevate his game well beyond what he did in Oakland and Vegas. I don't think that there's some massive jump coming in the Saints running game. I don't think the offensive line is going to be the best in the sport. I think all of that's going to be very serviceable. And when you put a bunch of serviceable pieces together that function together, you got a balanced offense. I think the Saints will score points. And I think the secondary, it looks good on paper. If they can do a better job of stopping the run, I think you're gonna turn some of those losses into wins. And I'm not counting on Brzee to be a star right away. Certainly not counting on Foskey to go in there and play. But with Cam Jordan, Nathan Shepard, Colin Saunders, Carl Granderson, Malcolm Roach, Brian Brzee, Peyton Turner, Tano Passignon, like that group has got to play really well. And if they do, the Saints will be really good. Okay, well, who do you want to test them against? How about the Titans? Huh? Derrick Henry is one of the best backs in the NFL still. Is he on the wrong side of his prime? Yeah. Is there any tread left on the tires? Probably very little. But he's still big, strong, and fast. And he's going to get the ball a lot. And Dennis Allen spoke to the challenge that Derrick Henry presents.
It'll be our first experience seeing him up live and in person. So it's probably easier to defend him when he wasn't on the field. But yeah, look, I mean, he's a dynamic back. I mean, he's one of the better backs in our league. So it'll be a challenge for us.
I think the Saints can make a statement about their defensive front in this game because we know Vrabel's personality and we know Henry's pedigree, and they're going to try to run the ball. And if the Saints can stand up to the Titans in week 1 in the Dome and slow that running game down, I'll feel better about the Saints' entire season based on that one game. Because we know what's coming, and we know what the Saints had an issue with, and we know that this is the biggest overhaul outside of quarterback on your entire team. This is a bigger overhaul than the linebacker spot, than the secondary, bigger overhaul than the offensive line or wide receiver. It's the biggest overhaul on your team is what you did up front with a defensive line. And here comes the most physical back in the league. Ready? We'll find out in a hurry. It'll be the Saints and the Titans noon from the Caesars Superdome down in NOLA. Hey, it's Hunt. Thanks for watching Hunt on Saints. Before you leave, help us out a little bit. Hit that like button, leave your comments in the section below, and hit that subscribe button so you get all our content right here from Hunt on Saints. We'll see you next time.